As part of our review of the Trek Speed concept, we wanted to take a closer look at this front brake here. If you're just joining us from YouTube, then you can find the rest of the review at tryrig.com. If you're joining us from inside the review, then you'll know that we're taking this bike apart piece by piece and taking a look at everything. And one of the most interesting features of the Speed concept has been this front brake. It provides a nice slim profile to the bike. It has totally invisible cables and keeps the front nice and clean. The internals of the brake, though, are hidden by this fairing. Even when the brake is working, the only thing that you can see are the little wings pop out there. So we wanted to take a closer look at that, disassemble the brake, and give people an idea really of what's going on here. So the brake is covered by a fairing, which we've already pretty much unscrewed here. I'm just going to make the final turn right here to get this thing off. It just secures via two 2.5 millimeter hex bolts. And what's left under here is sort of the meat of the brake. It's a center pull design. It has two cam arms here and on the other side, and they're just pulled up by this wedge. So when you activate the brake, the cable pulls up, the arms flip out, and when you let go, it's returned via this spring right here. What's really nice about this design is that it's very easy to disassemble. If you want to take the brake off, all you have to do is squeeze the pads together. This wedge pops right out, and then the brake arm can come off real easy, just like that. So here are the guts of the brake itself. The outside arm right here is the piece that sort of mates flush with the rest of the fork and provides that clean appearance. Otherwise, it's just a couple of aluminum lever arms, and they're joined together by a pretty powerful spring that returns the brake to center once you're done braking. Otherwise, it's just sort of a regular standard pad arm here. And there are some centering screws here so that you can change exactly where the brake sits relative to the wheel. Putting the brake back on is just about as easy as it was to take it off. You just move this wedge out in front of the brake. You stretch the spring a little bit to make sure you can get onto each post. Then you just squeeze them back together and get the front wedge in there. And then you're all set, and the front brake works just fine again. Finally, you just put the fairing back in here. It screws straight in through where those posts are to attach the brake. It's kind of nice. Trek gets dual duty out of those posts. They mount the brake, and they also provide an attachment point for this fairing. Now, as you can see on this bike, the little wings stick out just a little bit, and that's on account of the fact that these wheels have a fairly wide brake track. We could probably give a little more slack in the cable that has this brake, and then leave these a little wider out to have further travel in order to make these sort of fit perfectly flush with the rest of the bike. And you've probably seen that on Pro Tour bikes. They have them perfectly flush, or on other pro bikes, but we kind of like having the pads sit this close to the tires just so we have a little more power left in our levers. But you can set it up either way, and it's really no problem. So that's pretty much the long and the short of it for this really nice piece of engineering on the bike. The only other thing to mention is that the rear brake works pretty much in the exact same way, but it has slightly different hardware just to match the shape of the rear cluster back there. So the parts are not interchangeable. That's true for both the brake arms themselves and for the wedge. They're different. But otherwise, the brake also works very, very well. For more on this bike, be sure to check out the full review at tryrig.com. Thanks.